I am sick, sick, sick of these people and their attempts to rewrite narratives and make themselves the victim. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out to my old faithfuls. Thank you so much for all of the support that you have shown me over the years. I also want to give a huge shout out to my channel members. Thank you for the support that you provide to my channel monthly. And I also want to give a great big welcome to the newbies. Thank you so much for clicking on that subscribe button. And if you've come across this video and are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'd be happy to have you. Epstein Queen and King Cankles, they both can kiss my booty. So I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago, they said Jimmy Kimmel did a skit during his monologue. And the skit was about the upcoming White House Correspondents' Dinner. And during that skit, this is one of the jokes that Jimmy Kimmel told.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
That was the joke. That was the joke. And it was funny because when I first saw it, I laughed. Over the past 10, 11 years, Melania Trump has been silent about all of the vitriol that comes from her husband, all that he puts out into the atmosphere. She's been silent about all of that. But this 8-second joke has gotten Melania Trump's panties all twisted up in a bunch. And she put this post out there. Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. People like Kimmel shouldn't have the opportunity to enter our homes each evening to spread hate. A coward, Kimmel hides behind ABC because he knows the network will keep running cover to protect him. Enough is enough. It is time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community? Perfect post for her husband. Perfect post for her husband, because over the years, this is what Americans have had to deal with coming from her husband.
If you don't use certain rhetoric, if you don't use certain words that maybe are not very nice words, nothing will happen.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. Okay? Just knock the hell. I promise you, I will pay for the legal fees, I promise.
I said, please don't be too nice. Like when you guys put somebody in the car and you're protecting their head, you know, the way you put their hand over. Like, don't hit their head, and they've just killed somebody, don't hit their head. I said, you can take the hand away, okay? Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. They're poisoning the blood of our country.
They're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals.
On day one, we will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration and begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, starting with all of the criminals that are pouring in. You love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out. He's fired. He's fired. I'm calling on Crooked Joe.
Corrupt Attorney General of New York.
Deranged Jack Smith.
Bird brain, Nikki becomes president. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our country. They don't like it when I said that. And I never read Mein Kampf. They said, oh, Hitler said that in a much different way.
The communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin.
If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
And that's just a small snippet of the vitriol and the hate and the division that Donald Trump has spewed over the past 10, 11 years. And in the beginning, Democrats, people on the left, were not pushing back. But once Democrats and the people on the left started pushing back against Donald Trump's vitriol and his attempts to divide and his hatred and his racism, then they want to cry victim. The Epstein Queen and King Cankles can kiss my black ass. And now they are trying to pin on Democrats and the left the violence that has been directed towards Donald Trump. It's a ricochet. It's a ricochet. It's karma coming back to Donald Trump. You put out negativity, you get negativity back. You put out hatred, violent rhetoric, and incite your base to be violent towards others. Hint, January 6th. What happened with the congresswoman and her husband out in Minnesota? People on the right murdered that woman and her husband and attempted to murder someone else. The rhetoric and hatred and vitriol that Donald Trump puts out caused someone from their side to attack Nancy Pelosi's husband. Ended up with surgery, having to have surgery, and in the hospital for I don't know how many days. And then afterwards, they laughed about it. They made jokes about it. Remember, Donald Trump Jr. put out a post saying that his costume was going to be what Nancy Pelosi's husband was wearing when he was bludgeoned over the head. Remember that? Remember that pipe bomber with that white van with all of the MAGA nut stuff all over his van? Sent pipe bombs to news media and congressmen and women. Forget his name. Remember that? Remember the synagogue that was blown up from somebody on the right, one of Donald Trump's supporters? Remember Pizzagate, one of Donald Trump's supporters? So yeah, the Epstein Queen and King Cankles can kiss my black ass. Donald Trump then put out a post to back up his Epstein Queen, and this is what he put in his post. Wow, Jimmy Kimmel, who is in no way funny, as attested to by his terrible television ratings, made a statement on his show that is really shocking. He showed a fake video of the First Lady, Melania, and our son, Barron, like they were actually sitting in his studio, listening to him speak, which they weren't and never would be. He then stated, our First Lady, Melania, is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expected widow. A day later, a lunatic tried entering the ballroom of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, loaded up with a shotgun, handgun, and many knives. He was there for very obvious and sinister reasons. I appreciate that so many people are incensed by Kimmel's despicable call to violence and normally would not be responsive to anything that he said, but this is something far beyond the pale. Jimmy Kimmel should be immediately fired by Disney and ABC. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It wasn't Jimmy Kimmel's joke that pushed that man to do what he attempted to do, and many of us are still side-eyeing that event. I don't believe that was a real event, point blank period. But moving on. Yeah, it wasn't Jimmy Kimmel and his joke that incited that man to do what he's alleged of doing. It's Donald Trump and his behavior and his lack of character and his lack of morality and his racism and his hatred and his vitriol. That is what drove that man to do what he tried to do, what he is alleged of doing. It's Donald Trump's hatred and attempts to divide this country and his vitriol. It's Donald Trump and his alleged pedophilia, his connections to Jeffrey Epstein. It's the things that we have seen Donald Trump say come directly from his mouth. You can grab him by the pussy, and when you're a star, they'll let you do it. It was when Donald Trump said, at the back of in the back of the beauty pageants where all of the young girls are dressing, because I own the pageant, I can walk in the back free because I'm inspecting it. That's what he told Howard Stern. Not in those direct words, but y'all get what I'm saying. It's Donald Trump himself and his words that incited that man to do what he is alleged of doing. What did he say about young Lindsay Lohan with the freckles, and because she has a mental illness, she would be great in bed? Isn't that what he said about Lindsay Lohan? What did he say about Paris Hilton? What did he say about his own fucking daughter? That's what incited that man to do what he is alleged of doing. The left had nothing to do with that. It was all King Cankles who incited that. And so as a result of this, you got all of the MAGA nuts, the political influencers on the right coming out calling for Jimmy Kimmel to be fired yet again. You got all of them doing their videos, making their posts. They got their marching orders. You got Caroline Levitt in the press room calling out Jimmy Kimmel, calling for him to be fired. And you got King Cankles and the Epstein Queen calling out ABC, trying to pressure ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel over an 8-second joke. That was pretty funny. It was pretty funny to me. And then you got Caroline Levitt. She has the unmitigated gall. Every fucking day she gets in front of that podium, lying, causing division, spewing hatred, saying some of the same nasty things about Democrats and the people on the left as her boss does. This is what she said about Hakeem Jeffries.
It's not just the media, it is the entire Democrat Party has made their pitch to voters across the country that Donald Trump poses an existential threat to democracy, that he is a fascist, and that they compare him to Hitler. I mean, these are despicable statements that the American people have been consuming for years. And so many mentally perturbed individuals are led to believe these words are truth and then are inspired to act on it. I have a whole host of examples that we can share with you after. It is pages and pages of major Democrat Party elected officials saying, such as Rep. Hakeem Jeffries, just this month, said, "We are in an era of maximum warfare everywhere, all the time." Governor Josh Shapiro said heads need to roll within the administration. Senator Alex Padilla said people are, quote, dying because of fear and terror caused by the Trump administration. Senator Elizabeth Warren, President Trump is making the country look like a, quote, fascist state. Senator Adam Schiff saying President Trump using a dictator playbook. Senator Ed Markey calling President Trump a dictator, saying that this administration's actions are authoritarianism on steroids. Governor J.B. Pritzker, never before in my life have I called for mass protest disruptions. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. You have Rep. Presley saying, "We'll see you in the streets." Rep. Monica McIver, a Democrat representative on Capitol Hill, "We will not take this shit from Donald Trump. He thinks he's a dictator. We are at war." These are Democrat elected officials calling for war against the president of the United States and his supporters. I could go on and on, but again, when you have people in positions of power that are saying things like this every single day for years, you are inspiring violence by people who are already mentally ill. And that's what we've seen against this president for far too long.
How convenient. How convenient she uses that podium and that bully pulpit and doesn't bring up all of the nasty negative shit that comes from the right. She puts all of the blame on the people on the left. What they want is for Donald Trump to be able to spew that hatred, to be able to spew that division, that violence, without any response, without any consequence from the people who are on the receiving end of that violence that Donald Trump is spewing. They want for him to be able to freely say that shit. Freedom of speech for thee, but not for me. That's basically what they want. Let me remind you, since she didn't bring it up, let me play this clip again.
If you don't use certain rhetoric, if you don't use certain words that maybe are not very nice words, nothing will happen. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. Okay? Just knock the hell. I promise you, I will pay for the legal fees. I promise.
I said, please don't be too nice. Like when you guys put somebody in the car and you're protecting their head, you know, the way you put their hand over. Like, don't hit their head, and they've just killed somebody, don't hit their head. I said, you can take the hand away, okay? Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. They're poisoning the blood of our country. They're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals. On day one, we will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration and begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, starting with all of the criminals that are pouring in. You love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out. He's fired. He's fired. I'm calling on Crooked Joe, corrupt Attorney General of New York, deranged Jack Smith, bird brain, Nikki becomes president. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our country. They don't like it when I said that. And I never read Mein Kampf. They said, oh, Hitler said that in a much different way. The communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least.
From the desk of Kyle Kulinski, Trump has called the left enemy within, scum, terrorist, vermin, radical, lunatics, demonic, evil, fascist, Marxist, communist, garbage, the enemy of the people, the enemy within, treasonous, animals, degenerates, Jew haters, and lowlives. The Epstein Queen and King Cankles can kiss my black ass. Hakeem Jeffries had a message for Caroline Leavitt. Let's watch, shall we?
So-called White House press secretary, who's a disgrace, she's a stone cold liar, had the nerve to stand up there and read talking points being critical of statements all taken out of context that Democrats have made and didn't have a word to say about anything that MAGA extremists have said or done, including providing aid and comfort to violent insurrectionists here at this Capitol on January 6th who brutally beat police officers. The president then pardoned those violent rioters, many of whom have gone back into communities across the country to reoffend.
That's right.
And as you pointed out, one of whom threatened to kill me. He said, kill the terrorist. Where did that language come from? What Republicans use that language? Why did that pardon MAGA extremists, violent insurrectionists, choose to use the language of terrorism directed at me when they threaten to kill me at an event. And so how can we take them seriously when they raise these partisan attacks and completely ignore the fact that a lot of folks, including Governor Shapiro, his home was attacked by an arsonist when he and his kids and wife were there. And this so-called White House press secretary wants to lecture America and lecture us about civility. Get lost. Clean up your own house.
I know that's right. Clean up your own house. You want the rhetoric to stop? You want people to stop spewing hatred? You want the division to stop? Clean up your own house. You first. Jimmy Kimmel, of course, saw that King Cankles and the Epstein Queen was tag teaming him, so he had to come out with a message. Here's what Jimmy Kimmel said.
I greeted the day facing yet another Twitter vomit storm and a call to fire me from our First Lady, Melania Trump, saying I should be fired because of a joke I made, again, 5 nights ago. It was a pretend roast. I said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow, which obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not by any stretch of the definition a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend is pretty stressful in that house. And also, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it, because
Exactly, Melania. Have a conversation with your husband. He is the leader of this country. He is at the top. And if he's spewing hatred and division, expect others to follow. To expect more from a comedian than your husband, who is the president of the United States, what type of delusion are you living under? Are you ramping up for a lawsuit like your husband did? This is what happens, ABC. You give in to a bully, they will continue to bully you and try to shake you down. And now he's got his sidekick on board to try to shake you down. I don't expect more from a comedian than I expect from the United States president. That's exactly why I didn't vote for his ass, because I knew he wasn't going to rise to the occasion. He is incapable of leading by example. The example he sets has set for the last 10, 11 years has driven this country into utter chaos. Everybody is on edge. Everybody is on fucking edge because of your husband. You want things to change? Sit down and have a fucking conversation with your narcissistic, racist, fascistic dictator of a husband. That's what you do. I'm not in a good mood today, if you can't tell. I don't know if it's all of this that I'm taking in or if it's a mood because of menopause. I don't know, but I'm not in a good mood today. My fuse is short. Yes, I don't think you're going to see me anymore today. This video was nice and long for all of you that like the long videos. But I'm sick of Donald Trump, Melania Trump, the Trumps, the MAGA nuts, Carolyn Levitt, I'm sick of all of them. Sick of all of them. Y'all get down in the comments section and let me know your thoughts. And before I head out, I got a donation over on the Cash App. Shout out to Brian H. Thank you for the donation, but I returned your donation. I don't know if you realized it or not. You sent me a donation a few days ago. Yeah. We in a recession. And I appreciate it, but yeah, that's way too much. So yeah, I returned the donation. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm just not greedy like that. Okay? All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow.